The majority of people in the world think about life in terms of one dimension. There are really 7 dimensions to beauty. I'm Dr. Lancer, a dermatologist in Los Angeles, and we're discussing an interesting idea. When I try to educate patients in terms of they're asking me a question and I'm trying to give them an educated answer, I tell them that beauty has 7 dimensions. The 3 dimensions of height, length, and width. The 4th dimension of time, because they need to realize the perspective they're coming from. And then they need to understand the concept of risk-benefit. Dimensions 5, 6, and 7. What was, what is, and what will be. When a patient comes to see me, they'll oftentimes say, Dr. Lancer, what do you think I should do to make myself look best? And so I take a step back and I'm sort of looking at them and I hand them a mirror and I'm asking that patient to tell me what it is that they think is bothering them. And it's very interesting that oftentimes when patients are looking at certain aspects of their appearance, they're missing the highlight, the point that would actually improve the entire situation. The majority of people in the world think about life in terms of one dimension, only themselves. For some other individuals, they'll think about 2 dimensions, from point A to point B, meaning me and that person, this and that, at least 2 dimensions. When people are looking at you from the front, the side, the back, when you're surrounded by a group of people, they're seeing you in 3 dimensions. But what you're asking me about has to do with 4 dimensions. Time. You're looking at something that was perhaps 10 years ago that's bothering you now, as opposed to what's in the present now. And then they need to think, most importantly, in the future. They need to think in that 7th dimension. If I do procedure X, use product Y, what will I look like in 5 years? And I always bring it up as 7 dimensions of beauty because when somebody comes in having had a surgical procedure or a laser procedure or something that went awry, they're extremely upset, they're extremely disappointed. Why? Because they never considered what would happen if it didn't turn out exactly the way I was hoping. And I always use that as an analogy of 7 dimensions to have them weigh the risks of doing something. That's why we always start with skincare and have them follow a program and see the degree of improvement so they can better decide about whether or not they want to go further in terms of the risk-benefit ratio. If more people thought about risk-benefit, they would think twice before entering the surgical arena, because sometimes the risk is much greater than the benefit.